Hey y'all, it's Leslie. I'm here today and I'm going to make a banner for a baby shower. And I'm going to use some templates from the Mini Everlasting album from Genevieve Designs. And you're going to need page 7. And I'm going to use these as traceable templates. So page 7 and I printed page 19 because you can get two if you don't mind them being wider than they are tall, or these are almost kind of square. You could get two in one page if you wanted to print these out. So I wanted to show you this. But for me, for my purposes, I'm going to use a traceable template. And I'm going to use page 7. I'm going to use this top part. This is the insert for option B. And then page 21, this is the mat for the insert for option B. So this is the mat for this section here. And so those are the two pieces I'm going to use. And I will save the pocket and the flap for some other purpose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim both of these out, and then I'll be back and I'll show you what my plan is. Okay, I'm back. And I've got my two templates cut out. And again, just to review, this is page 7. This is the insert from Mini Everlasting, page 7. This is the insert option B. And page 21 is the mat for the insert for option B. So these two would lay like this. So what my goal is, we don't know the gender of the baby yet. So what my plan is to kind of go neutral, and my daughter loves mint green. So what I'm doing is I'm going to use this brick print, which I got from, it's just gorgeous. This is what I went to Hobby Lobby or Michael's, and they're individual sheets of paper, and I just grabbed some of these. I like the color of it. This is going to be the main base of the banner. But because it's such thin paper, I'm going to use some white cardstock, and I'm going to put it behind this, attach this to. So I'm going to trace this twice. I'm going to trace it onto the white cardstock to have as the base structure. Trace it onto this, and I'm going to combine those two. And the only reason I'm doing that is just to give this a little bit more heft. It's way too thin. For the mat, what will go on this, so this is going to be the main banner, and you're only going to see a little bit of it because when the mat lays on, you're only going to see about 1/4 inch all the way around. So what I'm going to do for this mat is I found this paper which blends really nicely. This is Prima Epiphany. And I found this maybe a couple of years ago, and I picked up 2 or 3 of these just because it was great, sort of neutral paper. It does have a little bit of a greenish blue in there, but you can easily just ignore that. But for me, it's going to accentuate what I've got going. So this is what we're going to end up with. So you can see how that's going to look. So my mat is going to be cut from this. So I'm going to need 4 sheets of this, and I'm going to use the scraps from this and make some bows using Genevieve Designs templates. I'm going to cut letters. This is going to say baby, and I'm going to cut the letters from this paper. This is from the Prima Script paper pad from my stash, so it goes great with the mat, providing a lot of contrast, and it goes with this. So I'm trying to get all 3 of these in for you. There you go. Maybe. The script is where I'm going to cut the letters, and I'm going to cut those using the silhouette. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out my letters. I'm going to trace my templates and cut out the mats using this paper here. I'm going to cut out my bases using this paper, and then also a piece of cardstock to back it so that this is a little more hefty. Once I get this cut out and everything is cut out and ready to go, then I'll come back to you and I'll tell you what's going on. Okay, so I wanted to show you how I figure out what size letters to cut out using my silhouette. And this is the matte option B. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the size of this mat. It is 5 inches to the tip and 5 inches across. So it's 5 by 5. I need to get the letter at maybe 3 inches tall would be nice. And then I can do 3 inches wide. Maybe even 3.5. So I just wanted to let you know this is how I figure out what size letters to cut out. Hey guys, so here's my suggestion. I have cut these out and I'm putting these pieces together to make it, again, what I was doing is making this have a sturdier weight to it because it's just a piece of paper. So I'm putting the cardstock on it. What I should have done is glue the decorative paper onto the cardstock and then trace my template and cut it out at once. Because when I'm going, you can see right here. Do you see that? Let me see if I can. That brown. I gotta go and trim that up. What's worse is on this back side, look at that. Look at that. All that I have to trim. So had I done it, differently, had I glued it first to the cardstock and then traced out the template, that would have worked a whole lot better. So I'm throwing in this little tip for you as a bonus. Thanks. I'll be back in a minute. What I've done is I've cut the pieces for the back, and this was using page 7, and it's the mini everlasting, and it's the insert option B. And so we have traced those, used the traceable templates and cut those out. Then I use the mini everlasting, the matte for insert option B, which is on page 21. And I'm going to attach those two like this. We're going to put a piece of doily behind. And I'm going to have it just sort of peeking out from behind. And I'm going to lay down, this is the insert option B from the mini everlasting, page 7. I'm going to put my doily that I have lightly sprayed 2 or 3 times with Tim Holtz Antique Linen Distressed Stain or Distressed Spray. Either one of those would work. I'm going to put the matte from the Mini Everlasting album, and this is the matte for insert option B, and it's found on page 21. But this looks so much better to me. It's so much better than this stark black one that I originally started with. And I hope you think so too. So now we've got this, and then we'll put some embellishments on after I get these done. So I want to set up 2 of these so that I can look. Let me do that while the doily's just too cute. That just makes an extra layer that just works so well for me. Is this something that's going to bother me? The words are making stripes vertical on these letters. These letters have horizontal stripes, and let me see if I can get them, make both my hands work independently to do something. Okay, so if I can bring them up, oh yeah, do you see? These are vertical and these are horizontal. Let me hold them out so I can see them. Yeah, but you know what? I'm letting it go, I think. Because if I don't, then I've wasted this paper. Okay, so I'm just going to use the letters as they are. I'm going to ink them up and I'll be right back. Okay guys, I've got the banner started and I'm going to finish up. Okay, so we're going to put a little bit of glue. I'm using art glitter glue, but you can use anything. Here in the center. Now I'm going to put this piece on top, and I'm just going to do some. This is a banner, so it's not going to be handled a lot. It's not going in a mini album or anything like that, although I will show you how you can use it in a mini album. That will be in another video. So I put that on, and if I need more glue when I go to use it in a mini album, I can always just, lift up the edges and squirt a little bit in to get it to stick. But For now, I'm just going to move ahead. I'm going to put this a little toward the bottom. Again, I'm not really concerned about it sticking, you know, all the way to the edges because it is a band. This glue does dry clear and matte. So if you make a mistake, as I learned, you can't see it. We're going to do the embellishments here at the base, and you can see on this one how I did it. I put the bows. These were cut using Genevieve Designs templates. This was on page and I used the template, traced them onto my pattern paper that matched this on the background just so that I could reinforce that here at the top. And then I've used these flowers. These are the Prima flowers from the Wild and Free collection. They just seem to match. Some spare parts. This is Paper Studios. So this would be from Hobby Lobby. Spare parts, and they look like this. So I touched them with a little bit of the coffee archival. There's just a little bit to make it look like it's not perfectly white, because everything is not perfectly white with this. Okay, I'm going to start by putting these on, or this flower on. So I'm going to do that here in the corner, and once I get it there, then I give it another little dab so that it leans a little toward the forward, because it is a dimensional flower, and these little stamen in the inside provide a wobbly base. It's not completely flat. Okay, now we're going to do the small flower embellishments, and I just put these in a somewhat pleasing manner that, you know, struck me as being cute. Just like that, just something simple. Then on a couple of them, on the capital B, I put a little butterfly. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I put the butterfly up on the upper right hand side on the B. So on the Y, I'm only putting two. One on the B and one on the Y. I'm going to put it down here on this side. Why? Just because it's cute, and why not? And I had them. Now for the bows, I have prepped the bow ahead of time. I cut it out. This was paper. I cut it out of paper. I'm going to put them up here in the corner. And this glue's pretty strong and pretty quick. And I don't get all, you know, particular about what angles they're at. I think they're just good enough. That one needed to hold a little bit longer. There we go. Now the flowers, these are again just a couple of flowers from the Wild and Free collection from Prima, and I'm just putting it there in the center. So if you don't want to put a flower in the center, or a gem or a bead, something like that, cut a small little rectangle of this same pattern paper, or even a contrasting pattern paper, and wrap it around your bow. There. And you see how it would just complete the bow like that. So there's another tip for the bows for you. Flower in the center. Now what I've done to attach the banner cards to the ribbon, what I'm using is score tape, and I put that on the banner ribbon where I'm going to put this. If you are using twine for your banner ribbon, and you have to have just one, to make a banner, you have to have one long piece that's your structure base. Okay, whatever you choose to use, whether it's a piece of ribbon like I've done here, or if you use twine, you have to figure out what adhesive you're going to need for that particular base. When I use twine, I always use hot glue. Hot glue is the best. It glues instantly. You are moving on to the next one, and it will hold. The only time that won't work is if you're using it outside, because hot glue doesn't like really cold weather. It will pop off and break, and then hot weather is just going to melt, and so things just droop off. So for this one, I'm going to put the score tape on there. I could have used hot glue for it, but for this purpose, the score tape, this ribbon happens to be really flat. The score tape works well with this, and I'm going to leave it hanging off just a little bit. I hope my hand's not in the way. Just like that. About the fact was this one the same amount off the top as this one, because it doesn't really matter. When the banner's hanging up, it's going to be hanging a little, you know, crooked, and it's going to be curved or however you're going to have it. So it's not going to be something that you're going to really have to be concerned about. Then what I do is I create some sort of tassel-like decoration here. People use tassels, but let me show you one of the ways I can do it and save fabric at the same time. I'm going to use a collection of things. I'm going to use some seam binding. I have a piece of lace. This is lace yardage that I cut, and if you notice how I cut it, I take the whole bolt of fabric and I fold up the fabric into a wad. So if this was the whole piece of fabric, I've got it folded up like this, and I take a pretty wide it is this thin on this end. This end, other end, has the bad cut in there, and it's super wide. I did these for my daughter's wedding, and once it's all on there, it's honestly, nobody even notices it. So, for example, this is what we're going to end up with here. And this has the same thing, but do you see how it's laying? Nobody really knows. You don't know if your you know, seam binding is shorter or longer, whatever it is. It just looks like a luscious little tassel of fabric. And instead of making a complete tassel, so I'm using a little piece of twine. This is thin twine that I'm using here. And so I found these pieces where I had torn off the selvage edge, and it made this feathery edge, and I just fell in love with these. So I thought, okay, we're going to use the selvage. So keep every bit when you make your little fabric strip. I'm putting the seam binding on top of the fabric because the fabric is a little bit longer. The lace I'm going to put underneath, because when it's laying on the banner, you want these pieces to be more visible. It's not going to be completely visible because they're all similar colors and everything, but that is going to help it. Then instead of making a tassel, and for a tassel you would have a piece like this, you would wrap string around it, and then you would tie this part to your banner. And a lot of people do that. For me, for what I did for the wedding, I found that I could save fabric. Instead of doing this and then cutting a strip that would go around, we're going to take this. Our twine is going to be our tie. Ugh. My fingers are numb. I have neuropathy, and I have been doing this for quite a while this morning, so it's really testing my fingers' ability to feel things. Okay, so now I've got that centered, and it's somewhere in between these two. And what I do is I tie the first hitch of my knot. Then if it's too far, you know, if it's too close to this one or too close to this one, I can move it over. Okay, but now all I'm going to do, I think that's fine. And it just happens. I'll have it centered, but then when I get through tying the knot, it's like this. But I'm telling you, it won't matter. Nobody will care. Then you can pull them down, and you grab everything that's there. Grab your base at the knot here, and you give it a gentle pull. And you want to just pull everything down, kind of pulling back on the knot area here. Because I can't get it all in frame, I will tell you that in between each of the cards, each of the banner cards, I have done one of these little tassels. On the end, you do one more, and your base ribbon is going to hang down and create a little extra there. Sometimes I even do a bow on the ends here, and when I hang this up, if it needs a bow, I'll do one, and you'll see what that looks like. So I'll be right back and I'll hang it up. So that's the banner. Thank you so much for stopping by. Genevieve Designs templates are going to be linked in the bottom in the description. Either click the arrow by the title of the video if you're on a mobile device, or click show more below there, and then that will give you more information, links to her products, to her videos, because they're just completely amazing. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks. Any questions, let me know. Please like and subscribe, and click the bell beside the subscribe button so that you can get notified for everything that I do. Thanks. Bye. Score tape on there. I